All right, now that we got a speaker and all this stuff is out of the way, let's protect some Americans. Crazy, right? Over the last few days, we've seen a variety of Iranian-backed Islamic fundamentalist groups attack U.S. installations overseas. New information coming in just now that a lot of Hamas militants trained in Iran before they invaded Israel. Now, we know the strikes on U.S. bases have injured 24 service members. This is no longer some distant war. It's creeping closer and closer and closer every single day. The State Department knows who is responsible, and they're doing nothing.
We know that the groups conducting these attacks are supported by the IRGC and the Iranian regime. What we are seeing is the prospect for more significant escalation against U.S. forces and personnel across the region in the very near term, coming from Iranian proxy forces.
Could you imagine how Trump would have handled it? I mean, seriously, if just one, forget 13 U.S. installations, if they had just hit one U.S. target, Trump would have turned an entire Iranian brigade into hamburger meat. Joe Biden, nothing. Walking on a beach somewhere. This just doesn't pertain to the Muslim fundamentalists who hate us. China's watching. Russia certainly doesn't care what we do anymore. They're sitting back, they're like, well, we'll do whatever we want. America's off the global stage. They're reading headlines like this, that 2/3 of our military is overweight, and they're laughing at us. We might be fighting people that are technologically inferior to us in the Middle East right now, but these people's only means of existence is to kill us. And they see our Secretary of State telling people at a time of this global threat, oh, Americans need to accept more migrants. I'm sure every terrorist in the world is like, oh, hell yeah, let's go. No mention of what's best for Americans. No. They're more concerned about other countries filled with people who hate us. And we just get more lectures from some ivory tower liberal. Hey, Anthony, how many of these migrants from Gaza are you going to let shack up at your pad? None? That's what I thought. But this is pretty much par for the course. We are so busy funding both sides of multiple conflicts that we don't have time to think about our own citizens. We give money to Israel to defend against rockets that Iran provides after we gave them $6 billion. And we, the people, are sitting around asking if we can just please get gas under $3 a gallon. No, shut up and pay your taxes so we can give it to Ukraine, peasant. Did I get anything wrong? Meanwhile, you and I are worried about feeding our families with what's left over after the government takes half our paycheck. The White House is worried about wellness meetings for staff who disagree with government positions on Israel. Look at this, quote, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan conducted one virtual wellness check staff meeting on October 13th. About 100 staffers attended. Not everyone agrees with the government's stance and has their own strong personal feelings about the fighting. Well, there's the door. They further noted that the Department of State and the Department of Defense are reportedly taking measures to calm dissent. Yeah, sure, let's alter our global position of the United States of America because some millennials have the sads. Maybe the Pentagon isn't the place for you to work. Go work at Starbucks if you don't like U.S. bombing terrorists. Again, no concern for you and I. We don't get a wellness meeting on the fact that our mortgages, milk, eggs, gas all cost like 50% more. Nope, don't care about that. We're irate. I feel ignored. I'm sure you do too. It's probably why Joe Biden is polling underwater on the top 3 issues voters care about. Folks, we are facing probably some of the most dangerous times since the Cold War. And that was when America actually condemned communism. Now it's pretty much taught on college campuses everywhere. We're in for a rude awakening here. And no one is coming to save you, by the way. I don't know if I have to tell you this. Most of you guys probably understand that. But there simply aren't enough resources in America. Something is imminent. I'm not trying to scare you. I don't know what it is, but something's going to break sooner or later. And folks, I'm saying this because I want you to be ready. What's your plan? If right now, at work, at home, wherever you are, what's your plan to keep yourself and your family safe? Think about this. So really sit back. If all of our phones go dead, the power goes off, emergency services are either totally swamped or cut off completely, do you have a plan to get out of Dodge? Do you even have enough water to last you 3 or 4 days? Folks, again, I want you to be ready. I'm not lecturing you. Can you defend yourself? God forbid you need to. Can you communicate with your family if you don't live immediately next to them? Now is the time to start thinking about your plan. Again, nobody's coming to save you. Our government is incompetent. And when this happens, it's already too late. I'm not hoping for this, and I hope I'm wrong, but I'm very worried about it. We have an entire generation that has no idea what tragedy is. There is a seismic shift, though, in the wake of every tragedy. But unfortunately, it takes a lot of Americans being harmed, either economically or even physically. You got to make these people learn, though. That's what it takes for them to absorb reality. The Democrats became Republicans en masse when FDR promised things out of the Great Depression that never came. Vietnam obviously turned us into basically a generation of hippies that put Jimmy Carter in office. And then his horrible economy, which is a lot like what we're seeing now, resulted in a political cascade in favor of Reagan. I say it all the time. You've heard me say it here. Hard men create hard times create hard men. Hard men create good times. Good times create soft men, and soft men create hard times. And we are in some really hard times right now.